Hello everybody. So I thought it would be fun if we did a little segment today about questions I get asked as a beginner's reformer instructor. And we're going to go over a few of them because I'm getting asked them almost every day at this point, and I think it's just knowledge I'd love to share. The most frequent question I get asked by beginners is, when will I know that I'm ready to move up to the next level of intermediate Pilates? This is the best response that I can give you. You should be taking beginners classes until you become so bored in beginners classes that you could basically fall asleep in class. And there's a reason behind this. Beginners is the fundamentals of classical Pilates, meaning these exercises that you were learning in beginners, they don't disappear. They literally stay through the classical Pilates progression all the way up into the advanced system. Yes, they shift and change a little bit, but they stay the same. So elephant, knee stretches, stomach massage series, front splits, it all stays in the sequence. So you need to know those exercises in your fucking bones before you move to intermediate. And as always, if you want to see the core exercises that stay in the progression from beginners all the way to advanced, I will do separate videos on each of those so that you can see the progression from how it starts in beginner to how it ends in advanced, so that you realize the fundamentals are key. And I get it. I am someone who is an over freaking achiever who wants to jump through things super quickly. And I know for a fact that you shouldn't be jumping up before you know these fundamentals. Because if you're trying to do advanced and you're trying to do advanced elephant and you don't even understand the hamstring and the core work that goes into beginner elephant, advanced elephant's it's literally gonna blow your brains, and you're not gonna get the full benefits of the exercise because you don't understand the fundamentals. Another frequent question I get asked as a beginner Pilates instructor is, how many classes of Pilates should I be taking a week? That is all individualized. There are a few things you should sit down and figure out. You should figure out how much time you have. So what's your schedule look like, and your budget, because let's be real here. Pilates is an expensive exercise, but there's reasons behind that because it's so fucking good. And I get it, because I spend a lot of money on Pilates as an instructor as well to advance my practice. So there is no set, this is the ideal amount of times that you want to be taking Pilates a week. Do what you can that works with your budget and your schedule. Showing up once a week is better than showing up none at all. So don't sit here and look at influencers' workout plans that are going 4 to 5 times a week and be like, I need to do that in order to achieve results. Not true. Should I be cross-training in other exercise modalities or just doing Pilates weekly? Once again, that question is individual preference. There are people who love Pilates and they do only Pilates and their body reacts beautifully to Pilates and that's their thing. There are other people who do running and Pilates to help stretch, who weightlift and use Pilates for strengthening mobility and flexibility. So it really depends on what your overall goal is and what you want your body to achieve. What is the difference between classical Pilates and contemporary Pilates versus classical Pilates versus the shit I'm seeing on TikTok and Instagram? Okay, there's a few differences. Classical Pilates is the system that was created by Joseph Pilates down to its core. Contemporary Pilates is them taking the classical Pilates system and adjusting it to make it more of a workout, such as a HIIT workout, and just changing certain aspects about the exercises. Is one better than the other? Yes and no. Number one, any type of Pilates is good Pilates. So if you really like contemporary, go for it. You shouldn't be ashamed for it. If you love the classical system in your heart, you shouldn't be ashamed for that either. However, the classical system is the hardest system to learn. And a lot of people who learn contemporary actually come back and get trained in classical. What are the different apparatuses in Pilates. I teach beginner reformer, so I have a lot of people who just see reformer Pilates on their FYP or their reels, and they come in and they think, oh, that's it. It's just reformer. It's not. There is mat Pilates. There is tower. There is the Cadillac. There is the Wonder Chair. There is the barrel. There is gyrotonics, which is a whole kind of separate system. There is the armchair. And what's even crazier is depending on if you're in classical Pilates, depending on the generation that you were taught from with Joseph Pilates, you may know certain exercises on certain apparatuses that other instructors don't. It all depends kind of where you came from, because Joseph Pilates only taught certain apparatuses to certain people because that's what they needed. So there is so much more to Pilates than just the reformer. Another frequent question I get asked as a Pilates instructor is, what type of classes should I be taking? As a reformer instructor, I will always say reformer is something that you should do and you should experience. However, there are people who just the reformer freaks them out. So it really depends on what you're looking for. I always say variety is key. Try some tower classes, try reformer classes. If there's a barrel and a chair class, jump in that so that you can try each of the apparatuses and get a well-rounded practice in Pilates. And eventually you're going to find your favorite apparatus, which is great, and go ahead and do that as much as possible. But don't forget to sprinkle in some other things in order for your body to experience new movements and for you to challenge yourself. And the last frequent question that I get asked as a Pilates instructor is, which apparatus is the hardest? They are all equally hard as fuck, guys. Each apparatus serves a little bit of a difference. So for example, when we look at the reformer and we look at the chair, the reformer tends to be a bit more cardio based. It tends to be fairly leg dominant. You do the chair, that's pure freaking core. There's footwork on the reformer, there's footwork on the chair. Both are the exact same, but they serve totally two different purposes, and you feel them in two different areas depending on the apparatus. So which one is the hardest? It really depends on the person. There are people who think the tower is much harder than the reformer. There are people who think the chair is a cakewalk and the barrel is a bitch. Like, it really depends on the person. So this is why it's so important to try them all.